Hi there, Leo. Welcome to your mid-August 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Well, let me just put these cards out. I wanted to talk to you about the full moon that's occurring on the 15th of August. And, you know, we're in the thick of the Leo season, aren't we? As a matter of fact, I'm recording this on Lionsgate, the height of Lionsgate, which peaks on July 8th. And so this is it's supposed to be a very powerful time right now. So happy birthday to those of you who are born in August, because this time frame of mid-August to the end of August is going to see the sun go from Leo to Virgo, obviously. So anyway, the heart of the matter is the Death card. And like I was just saying about the full moon in Aquarius, the full moon can sometimes be like a death, can be like an ending of something. Or, you know, the other word that is commonly used is culmination, which is probably a better word than death, because death is such a loaded word. So like, you know, maybe what we call death is a culmination to this incarnation, right? Instead of death, it's just everything just fades to black. No, it's one cycle ending. Okay, so there's a cycle ending. Now, where is this falling in your chart? This is falling in the 7th house. Now, I'm, you know, indulging in this fantasy that all of you have the same chart. And so this is the house of relationships, and especially one-on-one relationships, committed partnerships, if you're talking about your romantic relationships, not dalliances, not 5th house affairs, or, you know, when you're first dating and that kind of thing, but that committed relationship. And you have had eclipses in this house and your own house prior to 2018, late 2018, I think, something like that. So you've been dealing with this. This is a theme of your life before this year for the last couple of years. And so this is a chance for you to kind of like, maybe this is the final punctuation mark on something, and you know, especially connected to your relationship with somebody else, or if there's a lawsuit that has been kind of raging on, maybe this will finally put it to bed. And in general, that's I'm talking about the, you know, the full moon in the 7th house. In terms of the Death card here, this could apply to anything in your life that you feel is over with, and that you are ready to go and move on to something else. So whether you decide, hey, you know what, I'm retiring, you were going to work until you were 75 or something, or if you're just tired of office politics where you are, and you say, you know what, I'm looking for another job, I just can't take this anymore, or you're just tired with the type of work you're doing. In relationships, same thing applies, and doesn't have to be a marriage, it could be any type of relationship if you just don't feel it anymore. In the past position, we have the 3 of Pentacles. This is a card of teamwork. So this may have been at one time, if this is a work-related thing, that you are very, that you felt a sense of like camaraderie, or that you were working well, playing well with others. And you realize that that is just not how it is anymore. And I think sometimes too that this is what keeps people stuck in relationships that aren't working anymore, is because they remember a time when they were working. They remember a time when the office was a great place to go to, or the relationship where they did look forward to seeing their spouse, and now they dread it. And so when you see that, when you can really see the difference, the changes, that's when you can really begin to tackle this issue. The problem is that a lot of people, they just go into denial. That's like the kind of the default reaction, is just to go into denial, because it is hard to kind of accept that you're dealing with a relationship that has changed. Remember, Leo, you're a fixed sign, so you don't necessarily embrace change. And that's not necessarily the function of Leo or all fixed signs. It's really to endure, to be consistent, to be persistent. And we're not just our sun signs or our rising signs. We have other elements that will either enhance, complement these elements. And so we have to look at the bigger picture when we're looking at an individual. And so you may have areas of your life where you're stubborn and areas where you're very flexible too. So it may not be just across the board. And the higher message is the Eight of Wands. For some reason, I'm thinking of Jupiter turning direct, which is happening right before mid-month. And so most of you are going to be watching before the actual mid-month period. So to me, it's like things just start to flow again. And how this can play out is that if you have felt a certain stagnancy and you assumed that everything was just going to be like this forever, no. With the Death card, we're talking about transition. So it can be a situation where you get like job offers all of a sudden. Maybe when you turn in your pink slip or whatever, or you say that you're leaving, then all of a sudden everything opens up to you. Or maybe it's going to happen on its own volition, and it's not even about whether you do anything on your part, that things are just going to move again, and then you're going to just be able to change very quickly, because you're not going to even have to think about it, because you're going to see the transition. In other words, sometimes when we're going through changes in life, it can feel really scary, because especially if you're initiating the changes. But if you're afraid to initiate the change, but you know that things are changing, having somebody call you out of the blue and say, hey, are you by any chance interested in this job position? I was thinking of you first, and that's why I called you. And then it's like, you know how they have that saying, when it rains, it pours. And I think they mean that in a more negative context. But if you think of it in a positive context, when, one thing happens, and it's like a floodgates opening. So basically what I would say about this is that if you feel a little bit unnerved by certain changes in your life, or you can tell, maybe they haven't occurred yet, Leo, but you can just feel it in your bones, understand that this is the universe's way of providing more opportunity in your life and injecting a fresh energy into your life, that things had become too stagnant. And the purpose of life, at least as far as I'm concerned, and I took this from Abraham Hicks because it resonated with me, is expansion. That's what we're here for. And expansion simply, it doesn't mean, oh, I have to, make a certain amount of money and blah, blah, blah. That's the mundane expansion. And that's okay too. But that's not the ultimate, because if it was, then everybody who was, I was going to say filthy rich, but there's nothing filthy about money. Got to have that good attitude about money. Can't say that. But the people who are very wealthy, they would automatically be blissfully happy. And, that doesn't always work out that way. So we have to not just put all our eggs in one basket. We have to see that we are multi-level individuals, and we have to honor all those parts of ourselves. Okay. I just cut my nails, so they're real short. What crosses you is the Five of Cups, which is the card of grief. Loss, lamenting the loss of something. Oh, hello. I never really talk about this because, I think because everybody's afraid that the death card is really about death. But maybe some of you are still grieving the loss of somebody near and dear to you. And if that's the case, to me, the Five of Cups would be saying that this death didn't just happen. And by the way, I'm not saying that the death card means somebody is going to pass away in the last half of the month. Actually, the focal card is the thing that you're dealing with at that time. And so it means that it has already occurred. So if it's a physical death, it's something that has already occurred. But getting the Five of Cups in that position makes me think that it didn't just happen, like, let's say, within the last month or so. But that it, unless it was somebody who you really cared about and it affected you a lot more than you thought it would. And the other, or maybe somebody that you thought, you had problems with, and you never felt that you really resolved those problems. Maybe it hit you in a way that you never expected it to. Maybe that's what it would be, even if it's a recent death. But if it's a death that has occurred maybe within the last year, and you're finding it hard to move on, then it's interesting because the death card is about transition. That's why I tend to focus on it rather than the literal physical death. And part of transition means that you accept the changes that have occurred. And so maybe you have found it hard to accept the changes that have occurred. So let's say you got laid off, and instead of moving on, you kind of stayed stuck in this mourning the loss of this thing. The way that I would suggest to kind of jumpstart you out of that holding pattern is to say, Leo, I want you to be honest with yourself before you got laid off. Were you in a good place at that place? Was everything just perfect before getting laid off? Chances are no. And so you have been released. And that's the way to look at it, is not to, just focus on the loss of a job, but to focus on the gain of your serenity. Now, like I said, the Eight of Wands can be saying, hang in there. There's going to be movement. The advice, Two of Pentacles. This is a card of choice because of the number 2. Or, sometimes this position can be what's coming in. This would suggest 2 jobs and being very busy, like kind of juggling your activities. So if you have been looking for a full-time job and you haven't been able to get one, get 2 part-time jobs. Don't get caught up in certain things. Don't say, well, I have a degree. I'm too good for a part-time job. I want a career, not a job. Be flexible. It's hard, it's hard to do so when you are a fixed sign, but try to think differently than you typically do, so that you can really open up your mind to new possibilities. It can just be saying that you are very busy right now. Sometimes this can mean a job offer that is overseas, over a body of water. And this particular card shows that. I don't think the Rider-Waite deck shows water, but they might, because I think I was looking for that. I don't know why water. I really don't, because the Pentacles relate to Earth element. And the outcome is the Knight of Cups. I don't know why my voice is doing that. It's pretty early in the morning. It's 7 o'clock at best. So maybe that's why. I gotta exercise these pipes. The Knight of Cups is an offer, okay? So this can be, it's almost like somebody coming to you and coming like very humbly to you with an offer. So definitely a job offer, but if it's a job offer, it's going to appeal to you emotionally. It's going to be something that is much more, almost like healing. But one thing that I got, and I just want to say, as I do the tarot more, longer, and this is not something that I have done as long as astrology. So that's why I really emphasize astrology. But they always say to kind of tell people what comes into your mind. And with it, when I got the 8 of Wands, I was thinking also of you working independently. Maybe it was because I got the 3 of Pentacles, where you have tried to be a team player. But, Leo is more of a leader than a team player. Okay. You stand out from the pack. Let's put it that way. But you definitely may find that having your own business is very satisfying to you. However, at this time, as evidenced by the 2 of Pentacles, there may be something where you can do both. So maybe start your own business, but also work for somebody else. And the Knight of Cups may even bring that person to you who wants to work with you. This could, in your love life, the death, I just want to say for love life, is that the death card could be Scorpio too. But it could be the end of a relationship and feeling that loss. But somebody coming into your life, possibly a water sign, but definitely a very sensitive individual, a very romantic individual with the Knight of Cups, who maybe is artistic, singer-songwriter, something like that. And you have a great affinity for this person because there's that sense of emotional connection. Okay, Leo. I'm actually surprised that I am so clear-headed this early in the morning. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you would like a private reading, especially a natal chart interpretation, because you're having a new solar cycle, check me out. I'm at rainandmoonastrology.com, and I've provided the link to my online store below. Take care. Bye.